Yo, what's going on, everyone? What's going on? What's going on, everyone? Yo. What's going on, guys? Handsome man. Takes one to know one, brother. All right, guys. So like I posted earlier, I'm doing a live Q&A. Just going to sit here for a minute or two and let some people fill in. If you guys want to tell your friends or whatever, go ahead. Just kind of kicking it right now. Just got back from work. This is I'm eating meal 4. So just give me a second here. That are duds. What up? Do you think a rest day every week is necessary? I love going to the gym every day. I do think it's necessary, personally. I think if you're able to go to the gym every single day and train, those sessions could be a lot harder. So I feel you. I mean, when I first started, I loved going to the gym every day too, but it's just not really feasible to go every single day and progress. So yeah, I do think that rest days are absolutely necessary. Love your content, Gray. Thank you so much. That means a lot. I put a lot of effort into some of my content, so it feels good to know that people like it. Can you do a front split? Absolutely not. No way. What did I think of this weekend's COD matches? Good question. So I missed a couple of them, but I watched the majority of them. Interesting, man. FaZe is... Okay, so either the teams are not as good as we think we are, or this game is like really fluky. I definitely think that the base health needs to be raised, because the time to kill on this game looks just fucking ridiculous. So that definitely needs to go up. Optic is Choke City. What else? NYSL, from my understanding, didn't do too good either. FaZe, I believe FaZe lost, didn't they? And then they almost lost to, was it Paris? So, but Paris is decent this year, So, it was interesting, man. It was interesting. That's what I'll say about this weekend's matches. What did I go to school for? So I have my associate's degree. I do not have a bachelor's degree. I got my associate's degree in general sciences. Can you do a behind the back glute spread? Any good lower lat movements? Yeah, so I like any sort of a low row. Something where I'm pulling, I don't even know if you can see, something where I'm pulling down more towards my hip. Whether that's a cable or a machine. How to progressively overload side delts without the lateral raise machine with a short moment arm. Dumbbells, dude. I mean, if obviously the dumbbell lateral raise is not like the most optimal dumbbell lateral raise, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't work. I think the biggest thing with the dumbbell lateral raise is you would have to make sure that you're doing partial reps to failure at the end of each set, so you're not missing out on that lower part of the range of motion. If you got a cable stack, you can do cuffed cable laterals. I mean, that's really all that you need. So obviously I would prefer the cuffed cable laterals over the dumbbells, but if you don't even have a cable stack, then dumbbells are fine. I love the question with the short moment arm, because obviously like people who ask questions like this are educated and they know what they're talking about. And I'm 100% on board with the whole like biomechanics and everything, but I think there's a certain point where it needs to stop, is where people think that they like need to use an exercise with a short or long moment arm. I think you can really make anything work. I mean, people in the fucking 60s and 70s had cap delts doing lateral raises, so the dumbbells are fine. It is a very good question though. Good question. Because that's probably common. There are a lot of people that are probably thinking that question too. Should I dry scoop creatine? I mean, if you want, probably one of the easier things to dry scoop because it's a smaller serving. You're very entertaining for some reason. I don't know if I should take that as like a compliment or like an insult. For some reason. There's something that you like about me, you just can't put your finger on it. Interesting. Thank you for finding me very entertaining, though. Seattle, very solid, for sure, dude. Seattle is legit. Seattle's legit. I think Florida's good, too. The one thing I will say about the CDL this year, or I guess the CWL, is that last year it seemed like there was a lot of teams like Paris and Florida and Seattle that were like easy wins. You just knew they weren't going to win, but it seems like at least how these past 2 weekends of matches have gone is that any team can show up and win in this game, whether that's a good or a bad thing. But anyone can show up and win in this game, it looks like. Thanks, that's what I notice on weeks I go every day. I tend to have more sets that are harder to progress. Absolutely, dude. I train 4 days a week. And I need to be careful about how I say this because some people will take it too far, but I've personally noticed that the less time that I spend training, the more I progress and the stronger I get. Where do I put my foot placement on the leg press? So as far as width, it's probably around shoulder width. I don't think that your foot width, like how wide you place it on the platform, is like a mass. I have to be careful with how I say this. I don't want to say that it's a massive big deal. Like obviously, if you go on like either end of the extreme, if you go super wide, you're gonna get a lot of adductor. If you go super narrow, you're gonna get potentially more quad. I personally think that quad recruitment is going to be more dependent on the height of your feet and not the width. The lower your feet on a platform, hypothetically, the more ankle dorsiflexion you're going to need to go into knee flexion and extension to recruit the quad. So I personally have really bad ankle mobility. So I spent 7 years playing football, American football, And I never had any like serious injuries, but I went to a small high school that only had like 20 kids on the team, so we had to play both sides. We had to play offense and defense, and I was an offensive and a defensive lineman. So the amount of like sprained ankles and sprained wrists and shit that I've had over those 7 years of playing is like I literally couldn't even count how many times. So my ankles are fucked. So I am like working on trying to get my feet as low as I can get them and trying to do things like improving my ankle mobility to get them to go lower so I can get more quad. But the general answer to your question is, where should you place your feet in the position where you're going to be the strongest so you can move the most load through the musculature. Why do you like one set of each exercise? Do you find it helps you grow faster? Yes, because I'm able to train harder and I'm able to progressively overload more the lower that I keep my volume. And progressive overload and proximity to failure are way more important than the amount of sets that you're doing. Not saying that volume is not important. Volume absolutely is a contributor to muscle hypertrophy, but it is not the contributor to muscle hypertrophy. And that's kind of my biggest problem, right? I guess you could say right now with the industry is that a lot of the influencers and people who are at the top, all that they're doing is pump training. And they're doing fucking 5 sets per exercise and drop setting and strip setting everything. And I think that's just a ridiculous way to train. There's no like rhyme or reason to it. You're just training to make yourself as tired as you can make yourself, which is not the point of training. The point of training is to elicit a response and then recover from that response and then create a new response that was greater than the one that you did before. So you have to be able to recover. And if you're doing tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of sets, like, your recovery is going to be shit. So you need to do less sets to be able to recover more. So then the question becomes, how do you do less sets and stimulate the same amount of growth? And the obvious answer to that is that each individual set has to be very intense. For a calorie deficit, would I eat under 200 calories under BMR or TDEE? You would never eat below your BMR. Your BMR is the amount of calories that your body needs to maintain, like, literally if you were to do nothing. If you were to lay in bed and stare at the ceiling all day, that's how many calories your body burns. I would never eat below your BMR. I don't put a lot of merit into those equations anyways, but I would not eat below your BMR ever. Do you find it awkward to set up a tripod in the gym? That's a good question. No, I don't. A couple things popped into mind when I read that question. When I first started using a tripod in the gym, a little bit. But it went away pretty quickly, especially when you take into consideration that most people, especially if you're in a public gym or a corporate gym, like, most people are not in the gym to actually make progress. They're in the gym to feel like they're working out. And it's also a social thing for a lot of people. A lot of people go to the gym to just fuck around and talk to people. So honestly, man, you guys see by the way that I dress when I train, the shoes that I wear, how I wear fucking hoodies and baggy sweatpants. Even in the dead of summer, you guys are going to see me wearing hoodies and sweatpants in the gym. I genuinely do not give a single fuck about what anybody thinks about me when I'm in the gym, because the reality is I know that I'm doing things to make progress and they're doing things to whatever they're trying to do things for. But it isn't making progress. So their opinion doesn't mean anything to me. Who do I got winning the Super Bowl? Fuck, man, that's a great question. Realistically, I think that the Rams are the better team, but how the fuck can you not root for the Bengals and Joe Shiesty? So that's a hard one. That's a hard one. If I had to put money on it, I want to say the Rams. I think both offenses are very good. I think that the LA offense is actually slightly better than the Cincinnati offense. I think they have more weapons, but I definitely think that LA's defense is much better than Cincinnati's defense. I think no matter what, I think Cincinnati needs to go out this offseason and make like a big move on the defensive line or a linebacker or something. Like that'll solidify them as like a contender every year. You have a cable stack and you've been stuck on 15 for 18 reps for 4 weeks now. Any advice? Well, if you're stuck on the same weight or the same load for 4 weeks in a row, I would probably replace the exercise. Or change the rep range. So maybe instead of doing however many reps you're doing, maybe do like sets of 20 or 25. So maybe you drop back down from 15 pounds to 10 reps and you just work in sets of 20 to 25. But generally, if I've got an exercise that hasn't moved anywhere in 4 weeks, I would typically rotate it with something different. Unless I was in like a severe calorie deficit. Then when I'm in a deficit, if I'm maintaining numbers, I consider that a win. But I love your faces when you leave the machines at the last rep. Yeah, that's the face of like complete agonizing pain. Especially fucking leg extensions and stuff. Thoughts on Romanians or stiff legs for hamstrings? I think they're essential. The hamstring does two things. It flexes the hip and extends the knee. It flexes the knee. So you need to do an exercise that flexes the knee, which is a curl, obviously, but you also have to do an exercise that puts the hip into extension, which is an RDL, a stiff-legged deadlift, or a good morning. Those three. But it's essential. If you want complete hamstring development, you need both. You need a curl and you need a hip hinge. Is it too much to drink a bottle of water an hour? No. Bitchin' setup you got there at Shady Glen Retirement Village, Gramps. 1-bedroom apartment life, brother. 1-bedroom apartment life. We have a nice apartment, man. I don't know if... Can I move this? This is like hard to see. We have a nice 1-bedroom apartment. My girlfriend's made it really cute. She's good at that. She, buys decorations and stuff and makes it look nice. But what do you suggest I do for work? Oh, I'm going to lose these now. I am way behind these questions, guys. Give me a second. I got to scroll back. What do you suggest I do for work experience? I want to direct my life towards bodybuilding. Ma'am. Well, if you want to actually have something to do with like the fitness industry, I mean, you could get into personal training. But honestly, man, you don't need to have a job in bodybuilding to, work on having bodybuilding in your life. That's probably not the question that you want to hear, but I mean, the vast majority of guys who are in bodybuilding, like, do other things other than bodybuilding, What age did you hop on? Well, I went on endocrinologist prescribed TRT when I was 22. I was 21 or 22. And then I did my first, like, actual cycle last year when I was 24. Do you have lots of gym memberships or do you buy day passes? I have 2 gym memberships. 1 corporate gym and 1 private gym. Nah, they need some O-line. They absolutely need some O-line too. That's their biggest fucking weakness. They gave up what, like 8? Was it 8? It was either 8, 9, or 10 sacks in the fucking divisional game. Or the championship game. That's their biggest weakness is their O-line for sure. But fucking Joe Shiesty has like found a way to get around it somehow. How much longer will the mini cut last? I don't know. I think this is... Let me check real quick. I'm not sure if this is the beginning of the 4th week or the beginning of the 5th week. Let me check. The absolute longest that I would run it is 8 weeks. Ideally, I would probably run it for 6, but I may run it for 8. Let's see. So I started it on January 3rd. One, two, three, 4, 5. This is the 5th week. I probably won't be where I want to be at 6 weeks, so I'll say 8 weeks. Ideally, I would like to be 210. I woke up this morning at 214.6. So I think another, I don't know, I don't even want to put a number on it. If I get to the 8-week mark and I'm still not happy with where I am, I may go even longer. It may turn into a 10, 12-week cut. Who knows? But how many sets per week do you do per muscle group, or do you recommend for a beginner? Well, the amount that I do is of no relevance to you because I probably do them harder than you do. How many do I recommend for a beginner? Oh, man. There's so many fucking things that go into this question. I don't know, man. Start with doing anywhere from like 6 to 10 hard sets per week. I guess that's a good number. I don't really work well on these hard number types of things. Like, if any of you guys that are watching this are clients of mine and you want to chime in the chat to back me up, maybe I have no clients in here. I don't know. I usually don't like... When people come to me and I write them a training program, I typically don't like say I want you to do X amount of sets. I pretty much just ask them like, what are you doing right now? And then show me video of what that looks like. So, but I mean, 6 to 10 is a safe answer. If you're doing 6 to 10 hard sets per week of a muscle group and you're progressively overloading them week after week after week after week, if you're not growing off of that, then there's probably a flaw with your nutrition or sleep or something, but it's probably not a flaw with the training. The stimulus is sufficient enough, probably. I have a page in my notes filled with quotes from you, bro. I type out what you say in videos verbatim. You should send that to me in a DM. I'd be interested to see. But that fucking means a lot, dude. Sometimes I just feel like I'm fucking rambling and I don't think people are actually taking any value from what I'm saying. Because, man, you guys can probably tell I have so many thoughts in my head that sometimes I just like go off on a tangent, but at least somebody's getting value out of it, so that's great to hear. How do I break plateaus on side delts, finding it extremely hard to add reps or load? Maybe scale your volume back a little bit. And if I answered a question earlier about this, but if you're doing the same exercises and they've been stalling for a while, like rotate them out, rotate different exercises, and run those until those plateau, and then maybe switch back to the one that you're doing now. Will one set also work for neutral people? I have no idea what neutral people means. What do you mean by that? Thoughts on splitting up your leg training with 1 day quad and 1 day ham focus? I actually uploaded a video on this the other day. Can you do it? Yes. Do you need to do it? You probably don't. I think the only people that realistically need to split their training up into quad and hamstring focus days are female competitors, because the vast majority of especially bikini, the vast majority of judging with the female classes is on the lower body. And so having more focus on each individual segment of the leg is more important. And then probably professional bodybuilders or national level bodybuilders who are right on the cusp of turning pro. But I don't think most people are like so quad dominant or so hamstring dominant that they need to take an entire day to just focus on the quads or just focus on the hamstrings. I think you can do both of them in the same session and be completely fine with it. But there are tons and tons of people out there that are doing quad and ham days and have crazy fucking legs. So it obviously works both ways. I think most people listening to this right now do not need to do it, myself included. I just don't see how you can't do like a hamstring curl, a hip hinge, and then a leg extension and a squat all in the same workout. A curl and a hip hinge are going to completely train the hamstring, and a leg extension and a squat pattern are going to completely train the quads. I just don't see why you can't. Why do you need separate days to do those things? I personally don't get it. Unless you're so fucking strong, like these, like I said, national level guys who are right on the cusps, or pros. Guys who are at that level of development are so strong that they have to. They can't do all that in the same workout, but we, as normal people, can. How long are your sessions when only doing one set? I'm usually in the gym for like half an hour doing foam rolling, mobility work before I start training. And then from the time I do my first set to the time I do my last set, it's usually like an hour and a half. So I'm probably in the gym for like 2 hours. Do you do coaching for enhanced guys? Yes, I do. Best advice for someone who is body recomping. Stop body recomping and commit. Commit. In all seriousness, I've talked about this a lot. This is a super controversial topic. I just don't think that most people are going to be able to successfully pull off a body recomposition. I would commit to bulking, and then when you get too fat, cut, and then after you get the fat off, bulk again, and then when you get too fat, cut. I wouldn't just ride this fucking wave of doing nothing, because that I'm telling you, especially if you're a natural, you're not gonna pull off a body recomp. It's just not gonna happen. Now, me saying that, there's going to be tons of people in this fucking chat that are like, I pulled off a recomp. Good for you. I don't think it's something that you can consistently do. You can consistently pull off. Who do you have winning the bowl? Dude, you've asked me this question like 3 times already. LA. African, I answered that already. Guys, I know that I'm behind on some of these questions, but if you could refrain from posting your question like 4 or 5 times, that'd be cool. You guys can scroll up in the chat and see where I'm at as I'm answering these. What should I do for work experience? I asked that already. Would you say push-pull legs times 2 and then rest is sustainable if programmed correctly? I don't think so. I don't think you can train 6 days in a row and then only rest 1 day a week. I don't think you should be training 6 days a week. If you're truly training hard, 5 days a week is the absolute max that I think you could be training, and that's most people won't be able to do 5. I think 4 is a great position to be in. I would do push-pull legs, and I would set it up with a 2 on, 1 off. So it would be push, pull, rest, legs, push, rest, pull, legs, rest, push, pull, rest, and it just keeps cycling through. You don't have to do all 3 days in a row. What are the best tricep exercises with the most stability? I love the Smith JM press. That just fucking lights my triceps up like crazy. Can you upload a video of your warm-up before push-pull legs? Yeah, I'm working on it. I uploaded a video on this the other day, but I'm still changing up my mobility routines pretty frequently right now. I don't have a set mobility routine right now, because there are still a lot of things that I'm like playing with to see if I like it, do I not like it. Looking natty and obtainable. You have no profile picture, and if I go on your page, you have no videos either. It's always these type of people. Just ordered lifting straps. Are they really worth the money? I would never train without straps ever again. Are you trying to be an IFBB pro? Maybe. I haven't even competed once yet. It would be a lot for me to say that I'm going to try and be a professional, despite the fact that there are a lot of fucking people out there that are doing that now. People who haven't even competed one time and are like, I'm going to be a professional bodybuilder. Imagine having never played baseball in your entire life and being like, I'm going to play in the MLB. It's just ridiculous. I would like to compete and take competing as far as I can take it, while still being health conscious. I'll say that. I love bodybuilding, but I think that my role in bodybuilding is to be a coach more so than to be an athlete. That doesn't mean that I won't try to be the best athlete that I can be. But I think if I look at my skill set realistically, I will have a better coaching career in bodybuilding than I will actual bodybuilding itself. Best tricep exercises, most stability. I just asked that, or answered that. When you began coaching, how much did you start charging? I worked for free. I think everyone who's getting into coaching should work for free. I'm telling you right now, if you have never coached anybody, people are going to be very hesitant to pay you money to coach them. They're going to be very hesitant to do that. Work for free, get results with people, market those results. That's it. Any tips for bench plateau? If you're talking about powerlifting, man, that's outside of my scope. If you're using it in a bodybuilding program, if you plateaued on it for a long time, replace it with something else or switch the rep ranges. The same with any exercise. Do you have a 9 to 5? Yeah, I work part-time at a GNC. I need the job at GNC to make enough money to make my ends meet right now, but my goal is to coach full-time. And I need more clients to be able to leave GNC and still be able to pay my bills. Because I live to answer the next question, what part of Chicago are you from? I'm not from Chicago, but I live in the western suburbs, and it's not cheap to live here. So, but obviously we make that choice. You hungry on it yet? What do you mean? Hungry on what? How big is your deficit? And if you don't like the equations, how do you find your maintenance calories? My deficit is big. I mean, at the peak of my bulk, I was eating 5,000 calories a day, and right now I'm eating like 3,500. So I cut my calories quite a bit. How do I find my maintenance calories? I set a diet for myself that's a set amount of calories, and I track my weight for 2 weeks, and I see, did my weight go up or did my weight go down? If it stayed the same, then I have a general idea that that's where my bulking calories are. This is a game of guess and check with your nutrition. Here's what you should use the equations for. You use the equation one time to get you a starting point. Say it tells you to eat 3,000 calories. You start a week at 200 pounds. You eat 3,000 calories every day for a week straight. At the end of that week, you're 198 pounds. So you lost 2 pounds on that amount of food. Are you trying to lose weight right now? If the answer is yes, then I wouldn't change anything. If the answer is no, then you know that you need to increase your calories. But once you use the equation one time to get you a starting point, you never have to look at it again. This is a game of guess and check. You use the equation to get you a starting point, and then you just look at your data every week until and make the decision based off of that. Do you have any bulking hacks? So I would assume that you mean getting the food in. Great question. Good timing, because as I mentioned earlier, my peak calories this year were like 5,000, which is the highest they've ever been. And towards the end of that, it was starting to get really hard. And I know that as soon as I finish this mini cut and I go back up into a bulk, like they're going to get even higher than 5,000. So I'll be trying to do more liquid calories. I think that's really the biggest one. For a long time, I like refused to drink liquid calories because I was like, these are empty calories. Like they don't mean anything. But like what your calorie intake, it gets to a certain level, it's like, dude, fuck it. Like I'm just gonna drink some of these calories and make my life a whole lot easier. Because I'm telling you, man, like and I'm sure obviously you asked this question, like when you're eating a ton of food, like that fucking sucks. And this past bulk was the first time, like, I've been bodybuilding for like 5 years. And this was like the first time in my 5-year like time of bodybuilding where I was like, holy shit, like I'm actually struggling to eat the amount of food that I need to eat to grow. So yeah, liquid calories is going to be my biggest one. And I'm going to be, when I go back up into this bulk again, I'll be sharing a lot of bulking hacks because I'm going to have to come up with them. Because like I said, I'm going to have to find a way to make the calories easier because like I was struggling at 5,000 calories at 220 pounds. Like imagine how hard it's going to be when I'm 250 pounds. Like it's going to be fucking 6,000-7,000. So I'm going to have to figure out a way to make it happen. So when I do, I will share those. Have you read Atomic Habits? I have not. It's a book, obviously. What's it about? Body recomp tips. Answered that above. I don't think that you should recomp. I think you should commit to one direction. What gym do you like more? I would assume out of my corporate and private gym, they're both great. That's why I have 2 gym memberships. Is because if you ask me right now, pick one, I don't know if I could. The private gym, in my opinion, like is lacking a little bit on the leg equipment, but they have a lot of great upper body equipment, and I feel like the other gym is the complete opposite. They have really fucking good leg equipment, but their upper body equipment is kind of lagging. So I like having both of them. Yo, man, Rory, what's up, brother? How you doing? How many sets a week is most optimal for arms if I'm doing sets of 12, training close to failure? I don't know. Start with 6 to 10, what I said earlier, and assess and see what happens. If you're not growing from 6 to 10, then I would increase it. 5 grams of creatine per day or 0.1 grams. I've always taken 5 grams per day. and I've never really thought about it any more than that. Are you nearsighted or farsighted? Funny enough, I am nearsighted in one eye and farsighted in the other. Honestly, I could not tell you which one is the nearsighted or the farsighted eye. I've had glasses since I was in first grade, so since I was probably like 5 or 6. So honestly, couldn't tell you like which eye is the nearsighted one and which one is the farsighted one. But I am nearsighted in one and farsighted in the other. That's a good question. That's exactly what I did going on my bulk right now. I had to adjust the calories. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. I'm thinking of like some 100% like fruit juices, cause like look, when I'm trying to find ways to get these calories in, like I'm still trying to be health conscious. Like I don't want to be drinking like fucking Coca-Cola or some bullshit to get my calories in. Like I want to be taking in things that are going to provide benefit to my body. So I'm thinking about some of these 100% fruit juices, like that have like no added sugar and stuff. Like those may be a good way I could drink like half a cup or a cup of juice with each meal and be able to cut back on the amount of rice that I'm eating and everything. These are things that I'm thinking about as I'm going through this diet, because I know, and I'm actually kind of low key dreading it. I know that when I go back up, like the food's just gonna get crazy again. And that's hard. It gets hard after a while. That was really helpful. Sorry for asking again. I thought you missed it. No problem, man. I'm behind. I'm really behind on these questions. So, I love you. I love you too. What's up with all the bunk gear going around right now? I don't know, dude. I almost hate to say this out loud because I feel like I'm going to jinx myself, but I've never got bunk gear in my life. What is a good low-key gym brand? What do you mean? A brand of what? Any thoughts about starting your own brand, like gym equipment, supplements, clothes? So I am very committed to starting my own brand, but it is my coaching company. So the better than before training, the swords and shit that you guys see at the end of the video, like that's what I really want. Is I want to be a coach. Like I want to be a coach in the sport who's coaching competitors and putting competitors on stage every year. If that gives me an opportunity to start up a clothing brand or get into the supplement industry, sure, fuck, why not, man? But, I mean, if you were to ask me right now, like, my major goal is just to grow my coaching business. I want to be the best coach that I can be. Do you think you need degrees or certifications to become a successful coach? No, I don't think it's necessary. I think, obviously, experience is more important than anything. I mean, you absolutely have to have a... how do I want to word this? You need to have a basis of knowledge, obviously, but I don't know if you're talking about like a bodybuilding coach or like a powerlifting coach, but like you can't go to college for those things. You can't read college textbooks on those things. And I've taken tons of personal training certification courses because I personal trained for... I have 3 years of personal training experience, man, and those are like fucking entry level stuff. Like those are absolutely not going to tell you anything about powerlifting or bodybuilding. That's like super basic intro type of stuff. So no, I don't think you need that type of stuff. I think you just got to be involved in the industry and have a how do I want to word this? Have a want to continue to further your education, but further your education within the field. Because like I said, like you're not going to go to university to learn how to program a pre-contest bodybuilder steroid cycle. Like, you're not going to get anything out of it. Are you taking any supplements? Yeah, I take tons of health supplements. I should make a video about all the things that are in my supplement cupboard. That would probably go over pretty good. Because I don't know if I could fit it in 3 minutes, honestly. How do you recommend I find my own maintenance calories without just taking it from a website? How many calories are you eating right now, and what is your weight doing on that? If you're trying to find your maintenance, just keep adjusting your calories until you get to the point where your weight is staying even. Lots and lots of questions about maintenance cows. And I mean, I get it, man, but like, you got to start somewhere and just adjust. I think we should get rid of the 19th Amendment, which you think it's just so horrible. You suck, dude. That's my type of sense of humor, though. So I can't agree in good spirit, but that was funny. I didn't even laugh. It's a joke. Thoughts on Mike Menser type training? Lots of things that Menser has talked about are great principles. If you're talking about like HIT training from the book, like one set every 3 to 4 days, or I couldn't even tell you off the top of my head how it's all set up. I don't think it's enough volume for most people. And the reason why I think that it's not enough volume is not because there needs to be a certain level of volume to stimulate muscle growth. I think it's not enough volume for most people because most people cannot train at the level of intensity that is required to do true HIT training. I mean, I think that I train hard. I do not think that I could do true HIT training. I mean, I've heard stories about people that have trained with Mike Menser. Mike Menser himself has put them through an HIT workout, and like they're doing calf raises and shit, and like they go all the way to failure, and they're in the stretched. So this is my foot. They're in the stretched position of a calf raise, and Mike Menser is standing on the back, like pulling it down, pulling them even further into the stretch. I mean, based off of the videos and based off of the people that I've heard on the internet that have either trained with him or seen him train people in person, like it is absolutely gut-wrenching levels of intensity. And the reality is I don't think that most people can bring themselves to do that every single fucking day. So it's probably not something that you can pull off. And that's obviously, I'm not shitting on you. I'm just saying I don't think it's something that most people can pull off. It's very, 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 very hard. And it almost, at least from what I've seen, it almost requires a training partner to be able to pull off successfully. Like there's no way you can do it on your own. You need someone to help you through it, which may not be a problem for you. You may train with the boys or whatever, but I kind of like training solo. So it's just not something that would work for me. Do you think teens should bulk differently than adults in terms of pounds gained per week or months? Ooh, this is a good question. Yes, but I don't think it should be super drastic. I think they should bulk, and I think they should be a little bit more aggressive about bulking, but I don't think that they should just like go full-blown fuck it mode. On the flip side, I can see teens may need to take it could also take it slower because they're younger and their hormones are in a better environment. So, I don't know. What I tell most teenagers is take advantage of your hormones where they're at and just train and get as strong as you can and eat and don't give a fuck about your body fat percentage unless you're like obviously like very overweight. But typically, yeah, I would push a teen harder upwards, probably. Is push-pull legs rest effective if you can do it and recover? How to fix skinny fat. I have dumbbells at home but not a gym. Cut and then bulk. When you're skinny fat, it means two things. It means you have a lot of body fat and you have no muscle. So there are two things that you can do. You can either lose body fat or gain muscle. Losing body fat is a much easier and faster process than building muscle. So get the fat off and then bulk. I'm only asking because I'm a 16-year-old and just started a bulk, gaining 2 pounds per week. 2 pounds a week. If you're gaining 2 pounds a week every single week, man, I would definitely like pull that back. If you're gaining 2 pounds a week here and there, it's not a big deal. I would say like maybe a pound per week would be a good rate for a teen. But if you're doing 2 pounds per week every single week, then that's a lot. Rory, that's brutal. I assume that you're talking about the Mike Menser thing. Like I said, man, I don't think that most people are capable, myself included, are capable of going to that level of intensity every single day. And I don't want to be a hater, but there's a lot of speculation out there that like Mike Menser himself didn't even do that type of training every single day. Obviously he did it and he was capable of doing it, but I don't know if it was something that he did all the time. I don't know. Like I said, I hate to be a hater, but the one thing is for sure is that a lot of the things that Mike Menser is talking about, the concept that everyone's physiological response is pretty similar, the concept that recovery is the most important thing to next to the actual stimulus itself, the concepts, the big blanket picture statements that he's making are very much true, and I base like a lot of my training off of his thought processes because he's an unbelievably smart man, way ahead of his time. If Mike Menser came out today with the stuff that he was saying, people would still think that he was crazy, and he was coming out with that shit a long time ago. So Menser is a GOAT for sure. What are the shoes you wear at the gym? The Vibram KSO Evos. Who is your biggest inspiration within the coaching business? This is a great question. The main guy that comes to my head right now is Matt Jansen, just because of obviously the success that he's had within the industry, but now he's also been able to take that success and expand into the supplement industry. So he's like the big one. I mean, if you're in the game of coaches, I don't know how he can't be like a big driving force for you. The obvious ones like Aceto because of his legacy, Nichols because of the success that he's had with all the big guys. I don't know, man. I'm seriously a nerd about the coaches. Like, anytime any coach comes out with a video on anything, like, I'm watching it. I'm trying to learn from everybody. Thoughts on the J3 University course. So I am a member of the J3 University course. Let me tell you what percentage of it I have completed. while this is loading, I'll say that it was worth every penny. Like if you want to be like, if you want to get into the coaching business, like this is definitely worth every money, or every bit of money. The main reason I bought it was because of the PED, like lessons that he has. Around the time that I started on this website, I had started coaching a couple of enhanced competitors who were like advanced. I mean, like super heavyweight guys, national level guys, or guys who were trying to qualify for nationals. So I needed to learn about the PEDs. So the main reason why I signed up for J3 University was because of the PED info, and the PED info alone was worth the $600 for me. But there's a ton of stuff in here. It's still loading for me. I'm 68% done with it, or excuse me, 76% done with it. So I still have a decent amount more of the J3 University course to do. But seriously, man, the $600 was absolutely worth it. I would assume that he has like sales and stuff that he does. I don't know. I don't really pay attention anymore because obviously I'm a member of it. I have lifetime membership, but I would recommend it. I will be buying merchandise if you put it out. That's cool. Would any of you guys like actually buy like a BTB shirt? Like if I came out with like a t-shirt with the BTB logo on it, would any of you guys like ever actually buy it? Please do another full day of eating. I just did a full day of eating just a couple days ago. A couple days ago I put one up. The next time that I would probably do another full day of eating is when I get back into a bulk and the food is actually different. But I don't know, man. If I do enough of these full day of eating videos, you guys are eventually gonna stop watching them because you're just gonna literally be watching me eat the same foods just in different amounts. When I'm bulking, I'm eating more rice, and when I'm eating more rice and Cocoa Pebbles, and when I'm dieting, I'm eating less rice and Cocoa Pebbles. You could try getting some high-fat cheese and melting it or grating over the meals if relevant. Of course. Like lots of ways to get calories in. Oils, olive oil, avocado oil. I'm getting the hiccups a lot lately. I don't know what's going on. Probably because I'm talking and eating at the same time. Avocado oil. I mean, there's a lot of ways you can get calories in. And typically, I'm a guy who likes to keep his fats on the lower end and keep my carbs a lot higher. But that hurt me a lot when I was doing the 5,000 calories. Like, if I would have been putting fats and stuff on more of my meals, it would have been way easier for me to get the calories in. So would 2 sets be enough on an exercise if one is heavy until failure and the other lower until failure? Yeah. Usually if I'm doing more than 1 set on an exercise, I'm doing them in multiple different rep ranges. They would be enough on an exercise if you were able to progressively overload them every week. If you're matching performance every week, you're not going to grow on it. Your performance has to be going up. I would use whole milk too because the calories are higher. I would use milk if I didn't have a lactose intolerance. If I was drinking milk, dude, that shit would run through me. But if you can drink milk, the milk would be the easiest fucking thing that you could do. I would drink a cup of whole milk with each meal. That's like 200 calories or something for a cup of whole milk per meal. Easy. Easy as shit. Post more what I eat in a day is, damn, you guys must like me eating fucking rice. Rice and Cocoa Pebbles. I'm planning to leave my commercial gym around the corner for a good one 20 minutes away. Thoughts? Why are you asking me what my thoughts are on you going to a different gym? Do you want to go to this different gym? If it's a good idea, then sure. If you're saying you're leaving a commercial gym for a private gym, then I think it's definitely worth it. If it's a good private gym. Private gyms are way better than corporate gyms. Way better. If it's a good gym. I've been to shitty private gyms too. Opinion on milk. Milk is good. Milk is fine if your stomach can tolerate it. I just answered the question above. If my stomach could tolerate milk, I would drink milk with each meal. It'd be a super easy way to get calories in. Is it worth splitting up bicep work or having a set day to train them? Very similar thought process to the leg day question up above. I don't think people need to dedicate an entire day to just training their biceps. The pain of having no sight. I can relate, man. Man, I am behind. I'm fucking behind on these questions. I'm getting a ton of them. Are you on gear or are you planning on going on gear? I am on gear now. I mean, not now. I'm cruising right now, but I have done 2 cycles in my life. Could you do a creatine loading phase or is it unsafe? You could do it. I don't think it's unsafe. I just don't see the point in it. I would just take 5 grams and get back on it. Are you on gear or are you planning? I answer that question. Do a creatine loading phase? Just answer that one. It's amazing. It's about the science and breakdown of habits and heavily correlates with bodybuilding. That's the Atomic Habits book. I will have to look into that. How do I train my neck for upcoming music festivals? So it's three sets of 30-minute head nods. That's how you do it. How to progressive overload, add weight or reps. I miss tickling you in my closet for hours. We used to laugh the days away. Those were the good old days, man. Those were the good old days. I miss those days. Yeah, people love full days of eating. They do. Every time I post a full day of eating, it goes crazy. Every time I post a full day of eating, people give me shit for how much Cocoa Pebbles I eat. I just don't think people realize that, like, if you're eating fucking 900 carbs a day, like, you gotta get that shit in somehow. I prefer a higher carb to lower fat ratio, for sure. My training is a lot better, I feel like. He is 6'8". I'm absolutely 6'8". I fucking wish I was 6'8". How tall are you? I'm like 5'8". I am not 6'8". What are your thoughts on James English and Sush using PEDs at such a young age? I don't even know who these people are. Let me Google them. James English? He's a YouTuber. And who's Sush? I don't know, man. I don't know who these people are. I'm not really going to go into a lot of effort to look into them. But if they want to hop on gear, then fuck, they can hop on gear. I don't know how old they are. Let me know how old they are, and I'll tell you whether I think it's stupid or not, but... Big man, Big Seb. You guys, this is my boy Big Seb here. Big Seb was one of the first people that started watching my stuff. Like, seriously, like right off the rip. Big Seb, this is my boy right here. Seb, I've been seeing you, bro, putting that work in. Keep it going. Keep it going. Should I remove volume if I'm feeling fatigued by the last 2 exercises of my session? If you're able to progressively overload those last 2 exercises, I would probably say no. I mean, I'm tired by the end of my workouts too. You're gonna be tired by the end of your workout if you're training hard. You're gonna be tired. But if that level of fatigue is taking away from your ability to progressively overload the last 2 exercises of your session, then yeah, I would cut back. But if it's not, then keep going. Because yeah, when I get to my last like 1 or 2 exercises of the workout, I'm just like, get me the fuck out of here. I'm tired. But still got work to do. I'm done being a lightweight. Push that food, brother. Is your beard anabolic? Yes, sir. I actually just trimmed my beard the other day. I trimmed my beard, I trimmed my neck. I give it a week before I got more shit here. So I'm so happy I get to bulk because the wrestling season stopped my ability to bulk for a while. Yeah, wrestling, man. Weight restricted sport. I wish I had wrestled in high school. I did not wrestle in high school, but I wish I would have. Any tips for training with intensity? Man, it's a skill that takes a long time to learn. Watch people that train with intensity. Jordan Peters, AJ Morris, Kuba Chelin, Dusty Hanshaw. Watch the guys that train hard and try to emulate it. Record yourself. Watch over your sets and hold yourself accountable. If you do a set and you know that you realistically probably had another rep left, then write down in your logbook, you fucking had another one, and hold yourself to it. It probably seems like super obvious, but it's something that takes a lot of time to get in. It's fucking taking me forever to eat this meal. What are your physique goals? That's a really good question. I don't know. I don't know if I want to say that I have like a picture of what I want my physique to look like. What I really want to get out of the sport is to have a decent... I want to have a competitive career in the sport that is a visual representation of my coaching business. So I just want to be able to put a good physique on stage and put my clients on stage in good physiques. So I don't know. That's probably not the answer to your question you were looking for, but... Yeah, Anthony, I'm reading your question about the bulk here. Another thing that you'll have to consider is if you're going to be wrestling next year, all the weight that you put on during this bulk, you will have to take off for wrestling. So, you will have to take that off. So that's another reason why I think it should be closer to a pound a week. If you just get super aggressive and you say fuck it and you put caution to the wind, man, you could really get yourself out of shape and have a hell of a cut to get back down into shape for wrestling. And that sucks. So just keep that in mind. In regards to teens, would you push them to like 25% body fat? I probably would not push anybody to 25% body fat. 20%, I don't like to use the concept of like body fat percentages because it really doesn't mean shit, but I would say probably like 20% body fat is where my cutoff is. That's where I'm starting. And most people wouldn't even go to 20% body fat. They would think that 20% body fat is like way too high, but I personally don't see a problem with that as long as you understand how long it's going to take you to get in shape from 20% body fat. I don't think there's a problem with pushing up to 20% body fat. I think getting above 20% body fat, we really are starting to raise some eyebrows. That's when you're starting to look at, like, not only is this not good for bodybuilding, like, this is not good for your health. So, I would not push anybody to 25% body fat. What's your favorite dessert and how often do you have it? Oh man, this is a good question. I really like ice cream. I really, really like ice cream. It's so hard for me to turn down ice cream. How often do I have it? Man, I rarely eat dessert. For real. I'm sitting here trying to think right now when's the last time that I had dessert. I mean, aside from like fucking Christmas and stuff, you know? But usually if my girlfriend and I will go out to eat, we'll either get like an appetizer and an entree, or we'll get like an entree and a dessert. We won't get both. And I feel like more often than not, we're getting an appetizer and an entree. So, but I like ice cream. I could really go for ice cream. My favorite kind of ice cream, that comes in phases, you know? That really kind of depends. Some days I'm a mint chip guy. Some days I like straight up vanilla. Mint chip is really hard to beat, though. Mint chip ice cream is some fucking fire. With like a brownie in there? Ooh, hot fudge maybe? Let's see. What's your job? I coach people and I work at GNC. Slow carbs or quick carbs for training? Feel like I have constant energy with complex carbs like oats. Well, if you feel good on complex carbs, then do oats. I use quick carbs for all my meals because I'm eating so many of them. Slower carbohydrates like oatmeal oats don't digest very well with me. They give me a lot of bloating, so I mean a complex carb like an oat is probably going to be better, but whatever you like. Whatever you like. Do you monitor blood glucose? I do monitor blood glucose. How do you not crash eating as many carbs if not? Well, I do monitor my blood glucose. My tripod's like falling off the table. Let me move this up here, guys. I do monitor blood glucose. I do monitor it. Typically check it every morning, every rest day. So every 3 days I check my fasted blood glucose. What do you do for a living besides coaching? I work part-time at a GNC. Do you mind if I ask you a few, man? Oh, man, ask away. Ask away. How much money are you spending per month on everything that has to do with training? Wow, this is a good question. So this would be everything. This would be gym memberships. This would be food. This would be supplements. Oh, dude. I don't know. I have no clue. I don't even want to sit here and, like, do the math. The food is the most expensive part. The food is definitely the most expensive part, and then when I'm on cycle, the health supplementation that I have to take while I'm on cycle, plus getting the blood work done, is where the expenses come in bodybuilding. So, like right now I'm cruising. I'm not taking near as many health supplements, but like when I'm on cycle, I take a lot more health supplementation, and that alone costs a lot. And then the food is expensive, and you know. I'm almost hesitant to say that the food is expensive because a lot of the food is fucking cheap. I mean, carbs, rice, oatmeal, potatoes, they practically give that shit away. That shit is so cheap. What else? Chicken is super cheap. The beef that I eat is cheap because I eat 96% lean beef, and the only place that I'll eat it from is Trader Joe's. It tastes the best from Trader Joe's, and I also think that it is the most expensive there also. And then the salmon that I eat is from Trader Joe's, and that's expensive too. So I would say like I said, the food and the health supplements is the most expensive part. But as far as like estimating how much I spend, dude, I don't even want to check, because it's just gonna depress me. I'm gonna be like, holy shit. I am so far deep in this fucking rabbit hole. I would just rather not know. Do you structure your training in cycles? Yeah, I mean, I guess I consider like a training block all the period of time between a deload phase. Usually every 6 weeks. Guys, I'm going to be back in like 2 minutes. Let me go to the bathroom here and get some water. I'll be right back. All right. How old are you, man? I'm 25 years old. Bro out here giving tips on how to give neck. Ain't nobody know how to give neck like the boy. Do you watch Dr. Mike Israetel? Yeah, I like Dr. Mike Israetel a lot. Which is probably surprising because I mean, he's a volume guy, and I seem like I'm an anti-volume guy. I'm not an anti-volume guy, but I do watch Mike Israetel a lot. Big fan. Brilliant mind. I mean, a way that he can articulate things. Big fan. To be fair, the questions are coming in from different time points. It ain't your fault. Oh, man. Love your content. Thank you, Mark. I appreciate it. Gorilla Mode top in the market. Dude, I don't use pre-workouts. Excuse me. I don't really use pre-workouts. His stuff is really popular though. Is Gorilla Mode Derek more plates, more dates? I think it is, right? This just goes to show like how little I pay attention. Like I don't know who makes the Gorilla Mode stuff. But yeah, I get a lot of people that come into my store and ask for it, and I've looked at the formulas. His formulas look great, and they seem like they're priced pretty fair. So yeah, I would say the Gorilla Mode stuff is probably pretty good. I just have never tried it. I'm not a big pre-workout guy. If I do use pre-workouts, they're stim-free, and I haven't bought a stim-free pre-workout in like a long time. It's just one of those things where like when I take a pre-workout, it doesn't make me like, it doesn't increase my performance. Like, it doesn't make me stronger than what I would have been. And so I just like, I have a hard time justifying it. Really, the only thing that I would use a pre-workout for is for the energy, but I could just take a 200 milligram caffeine pill and buy like 100 of those for like $5 rather than spend $40-50 a month on a pre-workout. But that's my opinion. I also spend a lot of money on on other supplements, so I look to cut back where I can. What are your recommendations for an ab exercise that you can overload? Cable crunches are a great one. Decline crunches. You can hold on to dumbbells and stuff. But I mean, cable crunches are going to be ideal. If your gym has crunch machines, a lot of gyms have ab machines that are, whether they're plate loaded or pin loaded, those are going to be easy enough to overload. Is 3 days on, 1 day off adequate? If you can, if you're recovering from it and progressing your lifts, then yeah, go for it. When it comes to how many days on and how many days off, like that's not a one size fits all thing. You know, that's different for everybody. I know people that train every other day, and I know people that train 6 days in a row. But the people that are training 6 days in a row aren't making progress, though, you know? How's everyone doing? Tony asks, how is everyone doing? Man, I've been on here for a while. I've been on here for like over an hour, almost an hour and a half. I'm recording this whole thing too. My phone's gonna fucking explode. How many grams of sugar do you have a day? I don't know. I don't know. I don't track it. All carbohydrates end up as sugar, so right now it would be like 450 because I'm eating 450 grams of carbs a day. Gorilla mode opinion, I think I already answered that. This stuff looks good. What vitamins do you take? I take a lot. And when I'm on cycle, I take even more. I may make a video about it. That's actually a good idea. I'll make a video about that. I'm gonna write that down. You guys are witnessing this live. Got my little content notebook here. That's a good one. Thanks for that piece of content, brother. But I take a lot. I'll answer the specifics in that video. Just stay tuned for it. Do you go to more than one gym? I do. How big are your biceps? I don't know. I have never measured them at all, ever. They're this big, however big that is. What pre-workout do you use, if any? I don't use a pre-workout. When I need caffeine, I just take a caffeine pill. Or if I'm at the store and I'm gonna go train, I'm at GNC, I'll just drink like an energy drink. 200 milligrams of caffeine max, though. Any more than that, my digestion goes to shit, and it kills my appetite. Donuts or cookies, you better choose carefully. This is, wow. This is like asking a father to, no. I was gonna say, this is like asking a father to choose if he loves his son or daughter more. I don't know. They're both so fucking good. There's something about like them big ass fucking chocolate chip cookies that got them thick ass chocolate chunks in there when they're warm that are like, I'd kill for that. But a donut with some sprinkles on it, like a Bavarian like custard filled donut. Oh. I am going to go with oh man. Cookies. Final answer. Cookies. My mom's Christmas cookies specifically. Goodness. Do you back off your sets by a certain percentage of your top set, or is it just guess and check? So the very first time that I do a back off set, it's completely guess and check. So I'll give you an example. So let's say I'm doing a chest press right now, and I'm doing 2.5 plates, so 275, and I'm doing a top set, and like say my recovery is good, and I'd say I'm hitting 8 reps with that top set. And I decide I'm going to start doing a back off set now. The very first time I decide that I'm going to do a back off set, it's completely like guess and check. So what I would probably do is if I'm doing 2.5 plates, 275 for 8 reps, I would probably do a back off at 2 plates. I don't really do like percentages. I just, if I had to guess what the percentage would be, it's probably like a 20% weight decrease. Again, I don't feel confident in saying that as a hard number, but it probably is something around there. But the very first time that I do it, it's just complete guess and check. And then every week after that is based off of that. What did you say your height was? I'm 5'8", 5'8". What do you think about MEV, then slowly adding more volume? So, MEV, do you mean minimum effective volume? Excuse me, minimum effective volume or maximum effective volume? Some of the Israel abbreviations I get mixed up. So I don't know if you mean minimum or maximum. You are not natural. No, I'm not. You can download the lives off your desktop. How do I do that? Vikram, if you could let me know how. It's probably very simple, but I just am not aware. Is training 6 days in a row bad? I don't think it's optimal. I wouldn't say it's bad, but I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't recommend anyone do it if they really want to make progress. I would never recommend anyone train more than 3 days in a row, probably. How lean should a beginner get before starting a bulk? You don't have to be super lean. Just get to a good I even hate to give percentages because some people take the percentages like so literally. 12-13%, I don't know. I would just get yourself into Rivi Wheeler. I was trying to click your profile picture. Yeah, I don't know, man. I really don't like to give the percentages, but if you've got abs and shit and you've got like veins on your arms and veins on your biceps and stuff, like you should bulk for sure. People have this notion that they have to get like super shredded before they can bulk, and I hate that so much. People waste so much time cutting. They waste so much time. They cut for 6 months when they could cut for 3 because they're just trying to get as lean as they can possibly get before they start bulking, and I think that's just, especially as a beginner, wasted time that you could be growing. Easy gains too. Easy muscle gains when you're a beginner. So, what pre do you use? I do not use a pre-workout. What do you think about starting a meso at like 3 to 4 RIR and working to 0 RIR as it goes on? Or do you just think, ooh, good question. Man, oh man, oh man. This could be a very long-winded answer. Here's the long and short of it. I think that RIR has an approach, has a place in this for sure. 3 to 4 are, despite what the studies say about 3 to 4 reps in reserve are still adequate reps for growth. I have a hard time believing that 4 reps away from failure is a hard set. Some people are going to hate on that, but I just disagree. Working to 0 RIR as it goes on. I always like to work in the 0 to 1 RIR range, personally. A couple instances where you could start off with a higher RIR and then as it gets lower. I think it has a lot of merit for people who are very, very strong. Like, think about like professional bodybuilders potentially. Like guys who are so strong that they can create so much fatigue with one set that if they train at this 0 to 1 RIR the whole time, they're just perpetually injured and perpetually overtrained just because they're so fucking strong. I think most people should keep their RIR window looking at like 2, maybe here and there a 3, but I just, with a good conscience, do not like to recommend people train any more than 3 reps away from RIR. Yeah, minimum I meant. So the minimum effective volume. Well, what was the question again? It was, I'm scrolling back. Let me find it. What do you think about minimum effective volume and then slowly adding more volume? I mean, I guess that's pretty much what I do is, I don't know if I would consider it like minimum effective volume. Like I have a baseline level of volume basically where like I know if I train at like this amount of sets per body part, like I can consistently recover from that forever. And then slowly working up from there. Personally, I would only do that like in the body parts that you're trying to improve. So usually like when I'm adding volume in a training cycle, I'm only adding it to body parts that are areas that I'm trying to improve. I don't like adding volume to everything because it's very hard to grow everything at the same time. How did you determine your volume load when you were just starting out? I think I just was doing 2 sets of each. I don't really remember how it was when I started at the beginning, but it start out somewhere and then just run it for a month straight. And then at the end of that month, ask yourself, do I need to pull away or do I need to add in places? Guess and check. This is a sport of guess and check. Try and see, because you will probably surprise yourself with how much you can do. Do you track steps or just cardio? I track both. So I track steps and then I have like a baseline level of cardio. I do 20 minutes of cardio at like a 130, 140 beat per minute and 4 rounds of HIIT cardio on rest days only. And that is like obviously only 20 minutes and only 4 rounds of HIIT. That is just like to maintain a base level of cardiovascular fitness and health. So it's not for like fat loss or calorie burning purposes. It's just for health purposes. If you don't go to failure, then how do you figure out progressive overload? Well, you can still progressively overload. You would be progressively overloading by going to failure, but I agree with you. That this is a main reason why I like to keep the intensity variable constant. So it's very straightforward if you're progressively overloading or not. Are you getting stronger or are you not? But to the people that train with RIR, to their credit, like they absolutely progressive overload just the same. And a lot of these RIR training programs, like the last week, if not the last couple weeks, like they're training to failure anyways. Especially the last week right before they deload, they're always training to failure. They just get there at a different pace. How many grams of protein per pound of body weight? Anywhere from 1 to 1.5. Favorite tricep workouts? I love the Smith JM press. Oh. I just eat a majority of my carbs pre and post workout. Should I spread them out or keep majority? Keep them where they're at. If you could give your beginner self tips, what would they be? Holy shit. This is like such a fucking good question. I spent my beginner years perpetually dieting. I was the person who believed that I needed to get like super, super lean before I could even bulk. I wasted so much time cutting that I could have been bulking, that I could have been growing. I was fortunate enough. Oh, what else? Take more fucking rest days. I could have grown so much more muscle and gotten so much stronger if I would just like have allowed myself to take days off the gym. Like, yeah. All the times I went to the gym and forced myself to have shitty workouts because I was like, I have to work out today. Guys, at one point I had overtrained myself so much to the point where I came down with mono. I overtrained myself into fucking mono. Because I was just like, my fucking program says I have to train today, and despite the fact that I feel like fucking shit and all my logbook numbers have gone down for the past couple weeks, I need to train today. It was just stupid. Combine that with perpetually dieting and trying to be super, super lean and shredded. Yeah. I missed out on a lot at the beginning. I did a lot of things right at the beginning too, but those would probably be the big things. When's the next physique check? Probably whenever I finish this cut. And I don't know when that will be. This was originally starting off to be a mini cut, and this is the beginning of the 5th week. This is the beginning of the 5th week of the mini cut, and realistically, I'll probably have to go to like 8 weeks to get where I want to be before I start gaining weight again. 8 or 10. I wouldn't mind doing a 10 if I had to do a 10, but I originally started off saying that it would be a mini cut. I think it's going to be a little bit longer than a mini cut, but whenever this cut is over, probably another month or so, I'll do a physique update. Did you train today? I did not. Today was an off day. Which is a good thing, honestly, because I don't know if you guys saw the video that I put up earlier, but I came down with like a stomach bug or something yesterday. Like, I spent like the entire day on the toilet yesterday. Like, I mean, I know it's disgusting, but like I had like just terrible fucking diarrhea yesterday. And I woke up this morning like 3 pounds lighter than yesterday, and that's all dehydration and glycogen. So if I had trained today, it would not have been a very good workout. I would have been pretty depleted. So I'm glad today is a rest day. I'm adding more food to my diet today because losing like 3 pounds overnight is like a lot. Like, you notice that in training. So I'm trying to gain some of that back today. It's all going to be water and glycogen, but I'm trying to gain some of that back today. So I'm glad I did not train today. How do you progressive overload without going to failure? I answered that earlier. Is RDL good on a Smith machine? Yeah, I've done them on a Smith machine. I think barbells are a little bit better, but I've done them on a Smith machine. I don't think they're bad. I would almost prefer like a stiff leg on a Smith over an RDL. Shit, you be looking good, man. Nate, I just want to look like you. Nate, if you're still here, man, I'm sorry that I didn't play Fortnite last night. Like I said, I was shitting bad. Do you know who Josh Bridgman is? And if so, are you a fan of him? I do know who Josh Bridgman is. I watch a lot of his videos. This is obviously not at all a fucking critique to Josh, but I don't really get interested in like the men's physique division a whole lot. So I don't follow it closely, but I do like Josh because Josh's coach is a guy who I admire a lot. And I think Josh is very, very smart and very articulate and has great business sense. Josh should be a fucking awesome dude to hang out with. What do you think about an upper-lower split 4 times a week? That's what I'm doing right now, pretty much. So, I like it. Do you think PPL is bad for arm development because they are somewhat overlooked? So that's... I hear that a lot from people, that PPL is bad for arm development. I can only speak from my personal experience is that is bad for arm development. I can only speak from my personal experience is that I have managed to still improve my arms running push-pull legs. There will obviously probably eventually come a point where if I want to grow my arms even more, I will have to have its own arm day. But right now, I'm still able to make arm progress running push-pull legs. So honestly, man, it's one of those things where it's going to be very individual dependent. Some people are going to be able to still build their arms on PPL and some people aren't. And if you're somebody who can get away with Nick Gloff, I don't know if you know who Nick Gloff is, but Nick Gloff is a guy who does not have an arm day, and he has crazy fucking arms too, and he runs PPL. So I personally have never really had a problem growing my arms on PPL. But I know a lot of people who have had problems growing their arms on PPL, so I think it's like almost entirely... I hate to use the word genetic because that's like a cop-out answer, but I feel like it almost can be completely genetic to how your arms respond. What are your thoughts on main gaining? I think it's a waste of time for a lot of people. I don't think it's impossible. I think it can be done, but I think it's a waste of time. If you wanna build muscle and you want to build the most amount of muscle that you can, I would commit to an aggressive bulk, and then once you get fat, then cut, and then bulk again, and just repeat that process. I think people. So let's say you're here, right? You're this finger, and like this is where like you want to be. I think a lot of people with the main gaining, what they're trying to do is try to do this like really slow like upward trend where they never go down, whereas like the cutting and bulking, like yes, you have phases where like you're going down, but like the net movement of where you're trying to go is like going upwards. And I think that you're actually going to get there faster because you're being aggressive about the direction that you're going, you know? Why did you stop working out? When did I stop working out? Of all the TikTok fitness coaching accounts, do you have any favorites? I'm going to say something that'll probably shock a lot of people is that I don't actually like watch a lot of TikTok. I post a lot on TikTok, but when the time that I spend on TikTok, and hopefully you guys will be able to attest to this, is I'm doing like one of two things when I'm on TikTok. I'm either posting a video, I guess one of three things. I'm posting a video, I'm doing a live, or I'm replying to comments. I make an effort to try and reply to all of my comments, except for the videos that get like fucking 500,000 or 1 million views or whatever, where like you just get so many fucking comments that it's like it's impossible to keep up with them. But on all of my other videos, like I make an effort to try to reply to every comment. So I don't actually like seriously spend a lot of time watching TikTok. If you guys actually go to my TikTok profile and see how many people that I am following, I'm pretty sure it's like less than 10. And like one of them is my girlfriend, a couple of them are like in real life friends. Like, you know what I mean? Like I don't really watch a lot of people on TikTok. From the ones that I've seen, JPG is like got a lot of legit stuff, obviously. I like Kale. Kale is always posting good stuff. Eugene, I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Is it Teo? Eugene, he's really fucking smart guy too. There a lot of the guys who are like on Instagram and stuff that I follow, like the guys who I consider to be like valid, legit coaches, they don't really post on TikTok. I spend much more time on Instagram consuming content than I do TikTok, oddly enough. How come you don't have any hip hinges in your program at the moment, or am I mistaken? No, you are correct. I don't have any hip hinges in at the moment because right now I am training, legs push rest, legs pull rest. So I'm training my legs twice as frequently as I'm training my upper body. So I'm doing legs every 3 days, and I'm doing some sort of a squatting pattern in each of those in each of those leg sessions. So I'm loading my lower back a lot in my leg days with the squat movement, and I'm doing the squat movements very frequently. So I'm loading my lower back a lot, very frequently right now. If I were to also be doing a hip hinge on top of all the squatting that I'm doing, I would not be able to recover from that. My lower back would be in shambles. And so right now I'm running this high frequency leg program because I need to improve my legs. Eventually my legs will get to a point where they catch up to my upper body, and I won't be training with legs as frequently anymore. And then I will reintroduce a hip hinge to either the pull session or one of the leg sessions. But I'm not doing a hip hinge right now because I can't hip hinge and squat every 3 days and recover from that. That's just way too much. Recommend 5-day split. Any training split. Literally any of them you can run over 5 days. Just because you're split, just because you have 5 days to split doesn't mean that your workout has to have, Just because you have 5 days to work out in the week doesn't mean that your split has to have 5 workouts. You can run PPL in 5 days. I know I can bulk and cut right now, as I know it's calories. It's just difficult. I was 16, never been so lean. It's hard to let go. Honestly, man, yeah, I mean, I can understand, like, it's hard to let go, but my viewpoint of that also is that, like, I've dieted myself to get very lean before. Like, I can do it whenever I want to. I could wake up tomorrow and be like, I'm going to diet and get shredded, and I know that I could do it. So I don't really have a hard time, like, letting go of being lean because I know that I'm capable of getting lean whenever I want. It's a choice. I make the choice to let it go for something else because I know that I have to let it go to get bigger. And taking the time to get bigger, I will be happy that I did that the next time that I get lean because I'll be just as lean, but I'll be bigger. So you have to think about this like long term. If you're capable of dieting yourself to get super lean, then you're capable of doing it again. So don't be worried about letting it go. The people, and I don't want to say this to scare you, the people that have a hard time like letting that leanness go are the people that develop eating disorders because they do a bunch of fucked up stuff to try and keep this level of leanness that they're not meant to maintain. So just maybe a different way of thinking about it if you've never thought about it that way before. What's up, Four Eyes? What's up, anonymous profile picture? Do you think abdominals should be visible even when massing? No, I don't think they have to be. Mine aren't right now. Should I cut or bulk? I'm like skinny fat. I've been lifting for a year now. I think if you're skinny fat, you should cut. Get the fat off and then bulk. I answered this earlier, but if you're skinny fat, that means that you have no muscle and you have a lot of body fat. So to fix skinny fat, you have to do two things. You have to lose fat and you have to gain muscle. Losing fat is the easier and quicker of those two processes. So cut, get the fat off, and then get into bulking. I feel mentally drained before my workout ends. Does that mean I'm doing too many sets? Not necessarily. I answered that question earlier. What did I say? So are you able to progressively overload those sets? If the answer is yes, then you're fine. When you train hard, when you get to your last exercise or your last two exercises, you're gonna be tired. Like, it's gonna happen. If you're doing a push day and you do a bunch of max effort fucking presses and then you do a bunch of max effort flies and a bunch of max effort laterals, by the time you get to the tricep work at the end, you're gonna be tired. But if you're still able to progressively overload that work, then keep it in. It's fine. If you're so tired to where you're not able to progressively overload your tricep work at the end of the session, yes, you do need to scale back. But you are going to be tired at the end of a workout. It's gonna happen. How much is coaching? Coaching is $100 a month US, 100 US bucks. Can training with high intensity cause high levels of AST, ALT in your livers? Absolutely. This is a great question. If you go on my page, my TikTok page, I have in there btbtraining.net. That's my website. On that website, I have a video where I uploaded. It probably would have been like a month and a half ago now, where I went over my latest round of blood work. My latest round of blood work had very high liver enzymes, and I do not take any oral steroids. So I was like, how the hell can my liver enzymes be high? I trained legs the day before. And I talked to a couple people in the industry that are much smarter than me. And they have all reassured me that it's very common that training with high intensity can increase your liver enzymes. And that's exactly what happened with me, because I was like, man, my liver enzymes are high and I don't take any orals. Like, so what the fuck is going on? So I was kind of concerned about that. But all injectable drugs are not going to be metabolized in the liver. So there's nothing to worry about that. So yes, it can. And it has happened to me. Like I said, go on my page right now, go on my website and go to the video section and watch the blood work video that I put up, because I actually covered that exact thing right there. How do I grow a beard like yours, man? This is like 100% genetic, dude. This is a family of hairy men. I'm currently recovering, have an external fixator on. And well, I'm glad you gave me advice. I'm glad to hear that, man. I'm glad to hear that. That was an amazing response. Oh, that was for the cutting thing, man. Yeah, like I said, I don't want to scare you about that, but this is, I experienced this myself. Like I told you or whoever asked the question, like what would when you're young, it's hard to let go, man. Like I had some really bad, I developed some really nasty fucking binge eating disorder. And you develop eating disorders like that by constantly restricting yourself. If you look at the people who are getting the leanest in the world, who are they? They're competitive bodybuilders, but they don't stay that lean year round. They get lean for a specific date, and then as soon as that date is over, they immediately go back up, and they put body fat on purposely. because getting super lean is not a look that is meant to be maintained year round. If you were meant to maintain that leanness year round, you would have been super lean your whole life. It would be very genetically obvious to you. But if you're like me, man, I was a fat kid my whole life. Like, I am not meant to stay lean. So it's not something that is meant to be held on to. And I think a lot of people struggle with that mentally. I'm not saying you can't get to a leaner point and hold that year round, but I think people get to like the point where their fucking obliques are shredded in and they got the fish gills and shit, and they're like, I can't hold this year round? Absolutely fucking not. Absolutely not. What's the point if you're going to add the fat gain, the fat again? What do you mean? I assume you mean bulking? Man, I think this is all stemming from the fact that people like they associate body fat as a negative thing. Now, if you're like obese, like, yeah, like you got to do something about your body fat, but like we are meant to have body fat, guys. Like, we need it. And I promise you, if you are somebody who is like meticulously tracking your training performance, you will notice as soon as you start to put some body fat on, your lifts will fucking skyrocket in the gym. And all of a sudden you'll correlate being fat with being strong as hell. Like, I think that people are just like, people are spending way too much time on social media, looking at social media influencers who are shredded year round. One, a lot of times those people aren't actually shredded year round. They just like, they get really shredded and then they take a shitload of pictures in a bunch of different outfits and post them all the time. Or two, they're taking a lot of steroids year round to maintain that look. And I got news for you guys. They're going to fucking die when they're in their 40s and 50s. And that's, it is bleeding into the general population that it is attainable to look like that year round. It is not. It is not. Everything you see on social media is fucking fake. It's fake. It's fake. It's fake. It's fake. Except me squatting till I die. That is not fake. How would you fit deadlifts into PPL? I don't know. You can fit them on a pull day or you can fit them on a leg day. I think it ultimately depends, like, where is the deadlift more challenging for you? For me, a hip hinge is very taxing on like my hips and my lower body. And so I like to do my hip hinge on a leg day while I'm already training my lower body. But you can do them on your pull days. If you're going to do a deadlift on a pull day, I would make sure that you have a day of rest in between your pull day and your leg day. Because if you deadlift and then you do some sort of squat or leg press the next day, like, that's a lot of stress on your lower back. And it may not bother you now, but as you progressively overload your lifts and you get stronger, it will bother you. All right, guys, I'm going to be on for about 5 more minutes. I've been on for like 2 hours. This has been a fucking great live Q&A, though. Definitely will hop back on these. I'm just going to get caught up with my questions here, and then I'm going to head out. What if you fail at different reps for unilateral movements? It's normal, especially for arm stuff. You're probably always going to have one side that's stronger than the other. If it's really a big deal to you, do the weaker arm first and then match reps with the stronger arm, which will mean that you'll be taking one arm to failure and the other arm not to failure. But if you're trying to improve that symmetry, it's going to be as all you're going to get. I take both sides to failure and I write down whatever reps I get, and I just accept the fact that one side is going to be bigger than the other. I don't think there's a whole lot you can do for that, and I don't think it's worth stressing about it. Is it okay for 15-year-olds to take pre? I mean, maybe. I get a lot of young kids that come into the store and buy pre. I would just watch your caffeine intake, make sure it doesn't get crazy out of range. Can you explain tennis elbow? I have a strong feeling I have it. It should most likely get it checked. Tennis elbow is a pain like right here on your elbow. If it's not here, then you may have it here on the inside. This is called golfer's elbow. It's a tendon problem, overuse. I get tennis elbow a lot from gripping. All of the exercises that I do that are bothering it, I stop doing for a week or two, and it goes away. Should I go to failure every set? I believe it's the most optimal way to train. 16 years old, 6'2", would you say bulking on 33 is too much? Run 3,300 calories and see what happens. Do not compare your calories to anybody. And my opinion on how many calories you're eating should not mean anything to you. Is your weight doing what you want it to be doing on that level of calories? If the answer is yes, then keep doing what you're doing. I am 215 pounds, eating 5,000 calories a day. I know people who are 285 pounds who are eating like 3,500 calories a day. If I mentally worried about the fact that I'm eating way more food than they are at 65 pounds lighter, that would stress me out. Just worry about how much food you need to eat and ignore everyone else. I'm bulking, my weight goes up and down. Should I increase calories? What's the trend doing? Are you going up and then coming back down where you were and just staying where you were the whole time, or are you gradually going up over time? If you're gradually going up over time, then you're good. This man is speaking the truth. Seriously, thank you. I needed this so much right now. I appreciate you, man. I assume that you're talking about all the fake bullshit that I was ranting about, influencers and everything. I try to keep my stuff as real as I can. I think that the secret to this is hard-ass fucking training and just putting the work in, and yeah. So I'm fat phobic. Direct glute work necessary. I already squat heavy and have RDL split squats. Depending on your goals, I think in almost all situations, direct glute work will be necessary. If you want to get stronger, you'll probably want to isolate your glutes to get your glutes stronger. And if you want to compete on bodybuilding, you got to have well-developed glutes. So direct glute work will help that. I think it's just a matter of how much do you need to do. If you're doing lots of squats and RDLs and split squats, then you're probably getting a lot of indirect glute work. So the amount of direct glute work that you have to do should be pretty minimal. Maybe 1 or 2 really hard sets of a glute bridge or something, and that would be sufficient, in my opinion. Yeah, when you finish the cut, you go to bulk. Why cut then? Because you can't bulk forever. You have to cut, or if you bulk forever, you just get fat as shit. Me and my doc were freaked out about my levels high. Yeah, if you are not taking any sort of oral anabolic at all, and your liver enzymes are high, and they've never been high before, and you trained the day of or the day before you got your blood work taken, it absolutely is the training. You definitely check out the video that I said, because I had this exact thing happen. All right, guys, I'm gonna hop off here. I've been on here for 2 hours, so thank you guys for hopping on here and chilling with me. Got a lot of good content on this one. Hope you guys took some value from it. Thanks again for tuning in. Stay tuned for the next time that I go live. hopefully every time that I go live, we have as good of a turnout and as good of a conversation as this time. So thanks again, guys. Have a good night. Take care.